So today we will be discussing on the data source page data properties, and along with that we'll be also going a look at the Tableau public. So yeah, first let's look at the Tableau public, right? So this is the Tableau public landing page wherein you can connect the files from the Tableau public landing page. And here from the server option, you have only three options wherein you have Google Drive, and to a file you can connect Microsoft or XLS files. So here I already have data sources. So you need to select the data sources. So currently I'm taking sample superstore. I'll be also sharing this data sources in the drive itself. So this is how we'll be connecting Tableau in Tableau public. Let me drive orders table here. Yeah. So let's look at the different data types. And all these data types are divided into two categories whenever we directly move on to the worksheet level. So these top ones are called as dimensions, wherein we have qualitative values such as category, string values, pen codes, country names, date fields. So these are the type of data which comes under qualitative data, which represents names, date fields, etc. And just below to that, you'll have a thin line where the rest of the data is divided into measures. So in this measures, you'll have quantitative data which can be quantifiable. For suppose like sales, profit, quantity, discount, etc. are quantified. So they are called as measures. So any data which is connected to Tableau is going to be divided into these two variations, and sometimes Tableau will not be able to detect the correct type. Let's say we have an integer data type, and Tableau by default sometimes converts that into measures because profit sales are also integer data type, right? So whenever we are creating calculations in worksheet level also, if the output of the calculation is integer or decimal data type, generally it converts into measure. So it is us who have to again convert that to dimension and make appropriate use in the worksheet. Okay, and let's jump back again into the data source page. So in the data source page, as we discussed, we can convert the data types in the data source page. As well, we can convert the same using this option here, same option which is available in the data source page, clicking on the icon of the data type. So let's look at the different options available in the drop down of the data type headers, which is metadata. So here we can have a rename option wherein we can rename the column name of the data. So I'm changing this to order. So yeah, as we already have orders, it is not taking. So yeah, we can rename something else. Yeah. So I have changed it to order one. Let's go to another option wherein we can reset the name as we have done this above, and we can copy the values and paste the values somewhere. And we can also hide the sheet by clicking on this. If we want to again unhide the sheets, we have to go into the settings and click on show hidden fields. Then only we'll be able to see that. Again, you have to go to the drop down and click on unhide sheet. And just below to that, we have furthermore options, that is aliases. So this option is available to modify or change the names of the members of the column. First, say rename is option to available to change the column name. If you want to change the names or the members, then you can straight away use alias and change the numbers here to the requirement. Let me click on the next option. This is create calculated field. Generally, we'll be creating calculated fields in the data source page only to combine the data whenever we don't have direct field, which is common field between the two tables. Then we'll be creating a calculation, or if you want to use the same for the filters purpose, either data source filter or extract filters, then we'll be using this calculation part. So we'll be discussing these in the calculations part. But until now, we can change the data type. You can observe that. For suppose, let's say, as we discussed, we can change the data type from here. We can also do the same using the calculation field, because sometimes you will not be able to change the data types also whenever we are connecting to some data types. So here you can change integer to string using these type of calculation and then combine the data between both the tables. Okay. And next, let's move on to create group. We have different types of options to club the data. So we'll be also discussing them. So for now, group is a, like it is a, we can group some of all the members. If we have a lot of members in the orders ID, we can group them. Such as you can group names, such as names starting with A. For suppose if we are taking customer names, we can group them all the names starting with A. But the thing is, we have to select statically because groups exist statically only, and we cannot do it dynamically. To create a dynamic group, again, we have to go with a calculated field. So, yeah. In Tableau Public, currently, we don't have find option in group, but in Tableau Desktop, we'll have starts with, ends with options. That will also we'll see today. For now, let me create this group as A names. We can also find some names like Don and find all. So like this, we can add the names and create the groups. We can add to the existing group or create a new group. Yeah. So this group contains all the names which has Don in their name. And if I want to include all the rest of the members into others, you can just click on this and you'll have 3 groups. For now, we have created 3 groups. So like this, we can statically create groups in Tableau in the data source page, as well as you have the same option in the worksheet level also. I'm clicking on this. So this is how we can group them. Yeah. So we got the customer name group to the right side, complete right side of the view. Next option which is available is the split option, wherein we can use this on the example of order ID itself. Because by observing the order ID, sometimes we need to split the data also to combine the columns. Let's say in the orders table, we have country code on the first part of the order ID, and next one is the year of the order, and next they are given the actual order. So whenever we want to combine the data, we sometimes need to split the data. So for that purpose, this option is available. You can straight away click on split so that it will directly divide into all the parts available based on the delimiter. So here the delimiter is hyphen. And let's move to the complete right side of the data. So this is how we got 3 splits based on the hyphen. And if you want to custom split, we have another option just below to the split, which is this one. So we can specify the delimiter and we can select the first or last or all options. Let's go with the first option and again select OK. So it's creating a new column. So this is the order split 4, wherein I got the country first 2 digits of the code. So this is how we'll be leveraging the options here in the data source page. And just below to that, whenever we are dealing with here, we got groups in the string data, right? So likewise, we can create bins on the measures and group the measures. So you can use this option, and by default Tableau suggests the bin size, but however, you can change the same and make the bins. Bins is also similar to groups, but whereas groups is in the dimensional data and bins is going with the measures, wherein you can group the measures. Finally, here we have pivot data. This option is available like whenever you select, let's say whenever we are connecting to some date series of data where we have months separately as columns, then we need to combine the data, right? So because we need all the dates in a single column, but whenever we connect some of the data is divided at the month level when we connect to the data. Let's say, for example, we have January data, February data until October in each column. But to create a visualization, we need all the data in a single column. So for that purpose, we need to select, let's say this order date, ship date and ship mode are the dates available. Then you will be able to get the pivot data option whenever you are selecting with months, assuming these are months. Okay. And sometimes whenever we are combining two tables, we'll get two different columns from the same merge itself. By that I mean to say, if I have combined order date from two tables, generally we'll get one column only. But in some combination of tables, we generally get two columns. Then also we can select two dates here and click on merge mismatch fields. So like this, we can combine two columns and then deal with the data. So this is how we'll be dealing and making modifications on the data at the data source level. So here we are in the worksheet level currently now. So on the top, as we discussed, we have qualitative data and quantitative data. Qualitative data is dimensions, wherein if we bring the qualitative data, that is dimensions, into the rows, we have pills here, which is a cylindrical pill, which is in the blue color. So by that, we can understand a pill which is like directly brought into the row shelf or column shelf is discrete in nature. By that, I mean to say, it forms headers. Discrete nature of any field forms headers. Likewise, let's say I have order date, which is a date field. Now it has formed the headers. But if I want to convert that into a month level, like month level of data by year, I'm able to get the green pill here. So whenever you see a green pill in the view, you have to understand it is continuous in nature, which forms an axis in the view. And whenever something is in blue color, it is discrete in nature, which forms headers in the view. So this is very much important because when we are building visualizations, we need to have headers as well. We need to have axes. Let's say, for example, let me convert this into quarters, and I want to view the sales here. So I'm able to view a visualization when I am able to create a discrete field and continuous field. Let's say I'm converting this sales into discrete. Then I'll not be able to see the axis here. So for that purpose, if you want to create an axis, we need to have a continuous field in the rows or columns field. And if you want to view the headers, we have to create a discrete value in the columns or rows. So by default, all the dimensions, when we connect to Tableau, all the dimensions are discrete in nature. And by default, all the measures which we have connected are in continuous nature. So that's why they are by default in green color measures and dimensions by default in blue color. But however, if we want to convert some of the dimensions into continuous, we can convert integer type of data types as well as date type of data types into continuous nature. Let's say, let me right click on this. I'll get some of the options for each dimension here. So here I have an option to convert to continuous. Because date field is a continuous field, I can use in both ways, for continuous nature as well as discrete nature. Got it? So next part, let's click on the string option, wherein we have option to convert the data types here, as well as here, if we click on the icon option, we'll have the option to change the data types. As well, if you click on this also, we'll have these options. I am going this in much detail because these are the questions generally asked in the Tableau Desktop Specialist exam also. They'll be going at the very basic level, but still they'll be asking some of the questions which are intuitive, like how can you change the data type in Tableau? Select any of the three. So then you can choose this option, icon option in the worksheet level, icon option at the data set level, as well as if you right click on this dimension or measure, then also you can change the data type. So in this string data type, we have all the options which we have discussed in the data source page. And we have also discussed the split and custom split. So as this is a date field, we cannot convert that into make date. But however, we can convert some of the integer fields into make date, that we'll see. So a string data type can be converted into measure, but whenever we convert that, let's see, if I'm clicking on this, my category has been converted into measure now. So when I'm clicking on this, I'm getting a default aggregation of maximum, minimum, count, and county. These are the only 4 options available when you are converting a dimension into a measure. So by that also you can understand, if Tableau has unknowingly converted actual dimension into measure, you will be seeing only 4 type of aggregations available. Let's see for the actual measure and the aggregations available for the actual measure. So here, for the actual measure, you have lot of aggregations here, like sum, average, median. You have around 12 types of aggregations available here for measure. So if you are converting a string data type to measure, you'll have only 4 aggregations allowed. So again, I'm converting that back to dimension here. And if you are able to see the globe, right? By this, you need to understand it's a geographical data wherein you have longitudes and latitudes along with the city information. So for that, if you want to view the data, you just have to double click on the data if you want to see the maps in the view. So I have double clicked on city. So like this, I'm able to get this. So we don't have a hierarchy here. So to have a map, we need to have a hierarchy. So like this, I have used the country by region also. Now I am able to get this along with the longitude and latitudes. Just to right side of this, when you are dealing with maps, you have something called, you'll get unknown data also. So you have to edit them and correct them to get the rest of the fields also. Otherwise, you will not be able to display all the data in the visualizations. This we'll be discussing when we are dealing with the maps. Okay, so we have covered string data and maps data. Let's go into date field. So in Tableau, date field has specific thing wherein we cannot convert date fields into measures because they are not available. But if you want to have the aggregation still, you can create a calculated field, but you don't have option straight away in the worksheet level. So for that purpose, you don't have direct convert to measure option in the date properties. So these are the default properties. You can explore all these options for each data type and different types of properties as today's work after practice session while practicing. And let's move on to the integer data type, which is again available in the dimensions itself. So this can be converted to both continuous and measure also, because integer data type can exist in continuous nature as well as they can be converted into measures because they are quantitative. But sometimes some integers are not quantitative because there is no meaningful output if we are adding sum of. Let's say if we have a data of height of each person. So if you are performing sum of a height, it is not reasonable, right? But we can do average of height. So for some of the aggregations, we have some of the integer types in the dimensions itself, wherein each of it is distributed between the another dimension. Moving on to measures, we already discussed measures are by default continuous in nature. And one more thing is, if I click on this icon, I'll be able to see the value of this measure. This is label icon. And these measures are divided by the dimensions in the visualization. By that I mean to say, if I'm bringing the order date into the view, this order date is going to divide this measure as order date is forming headers. And for each year in this scenario, I'm able to get the value of the discount for each year. So this is how, when we don't have any discrete view or value in the visualization, we'll be able to see a single value. By that, we can easily understand dimensions can easily divide the data, cut the data, and manipulate the measure in the visualization, as well as we can create the calculation fields. So this is the basics of the properties available for the data types which you are connecting to Tableau. So let's look at the different type of icons available in this worksheet level for now. So we have two panes here in the worksheet level. The first one is the data pane. Second one is the analytics pane. So if I'm clicking on this, you'll have another pane here in the worksheet level at the left side of the sheet, wherein you have analytics pane. Here you can have reference lines, constant lines, like we have different types of lines here. So you have two different types of panes here. As we all know, and by default, Tableau also generates some custom fields which are not available in the data, like measure names. This was not available in the data. This is always created. Likewise, we'll be also getting a new field which is measures values, and also we'll be getting count of the orders table. That means total number of rows in the entire table will be given as a count of the orders table here. These are the automatically created fields by Tableau which are not existing in the actual data. And after that, let's discuss rest of the icons available in the worksheet. As we already discussed this option is available to just go on to the landing page by clicking on this. And this is a back button. wherein you can use Control Z as an option to go back to the work. So let's click on this. Okay, so like this, you can move backward and forward. Yeah. So you have some of the icons which are not available in Tableau Public. You'll have more options in Tableau Desktop. So these are the simple options, you can explore them. And out of them, this is the clear sheet option where you can clear entire sheet by just clicking on this, and you can duplicate this sheet like this using these options. And we have swap rows option here. We can swap the rows and change the view, as well as we can do the ascending order and descending order using these options. Just right to that, we have highlight option. Whenever if you want to disable the highlights, like if I am selecting on this bar, I'll be able to highlight this bar to view the changes. You can disable the highlights also. And this is the pin option wherein you can this pin option is used to fix the axis here. Sometimes we need to fix the axis. So if you want to fix the axis, you can use this icon. And this label option, we already know it is used to display the marks in the view. This is the most important one, which we'll be dealing very regularly to view the fix the height width in the worksheet level as well as in the dashboard level. Currently, we are in standard mode. So you can play with this. You can fix the height, fix the width, or go to the entire view. And this is the cards option here. So we'll be discussing this cards also. And the right one, this is the presentation mode, wherein whenever we are presenting something to the users, our worksheets or dashboards or storyboards, we'll be using this presentation mode, because this is the view which user will be interacting with. So this is the view we have to select whenever we are showcasing our work to the clients or managers or users. So as we have got into all the basics of what is the different types of data types available in Tableau and how each data type is converted into either dimension or measure. And we have also discussed how a dimension behaves in a discrete nature or a continuous nature along with the measures. And let me know if you have any doubts on Tableau in the comment section below. Until next video, happy visualizing. Thank you. And let me know if you have any doubts on Tableau in the comment section below. Until next video, happy visualizing.